What's up, YouTube? Giant Midget here. And I am on my cold Saturday ride still. And I wanted to share a story with you. And this, as you can tell by the title of the thing, is about guns. And why I started carrying concealed. Now, I used to know a couple of guys that carried, and I always thought they were kind of weird. It's like, all right, sure, I'm all for guns. Guns are cool, but why would you carry one around? That's just silly. That was my thinking. And oh, that's a hill. Hello. And you know, I never understood why somebody would carry one around all the time. And then I had these neighbors. And it was a girl. She owned the apartment, and I lived next door. And she was kind of sweet. She'd come over and hang out, smoke cigarettes, and bullshit about this, that, or the other thing. I'd even taken her for a ride to work a couple of times, and her friends or boyfriend or whoever it was that would come over would borrow tools, and they'd borrow like screwdrivers and whatnot from me. And they just seemed like normal, regular, decent neighbors. And I wouldn't have thought anything like this would have happened. So one night, my roommate and I were in the living room. I forget. I think we were playing World of Warcraft. Go figure. I don't play it anymore, but I used to back then. And we hear a commotion outside. So I get up, or actually he gets up first, and he walks to the door, and I hear him say, "What the fuck?" And so I'm like thinking something's wrong with my car or something. So I jump up and I grab the bat that we have sitting next to the couch, the anti-theft deterrent. And I got the eyebrows. Anyway, and so I grab a bat and I walk up to the door like, okay, who's fucking with my car? And I look out and there's this guy covered in blood. Now, I've never seen this guy before, but he's like half crawling, half limping towards me, or towards us, where we're standing there on our front porch or in the doorway. And he's saying something, but like, I'm so shocked at the sight of this guy. I mean, he was literally, blood was oozing out from his arm and his leg, and he had pieces of skin, like big chunks of flesh hanging off his arms. I mean, he'd have been a great candidate for a zombie. His face was all swollen, bloody, and he's kind of yelling something, but I can't understand him. And he's coming closer, and I'm like, holy shit, what is going on? I'm like in shock. And finally it clicks. He's like, they're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. And finally registers what the hell he's saying. I'm like, what the fuck? And I look up, and there's that sweet neighbor and her boyfriend standing there. They had something in their hand, but I didn't see what it was because it's kind of dark. And they're walking towards us. And then I pull the bat, kind of, because I had it kind of behind me and behind my roommate. And I kind of swing it up forward, and they pause for a second. And my roommate goes, I'm getting something. And then like he turns around and goes in the house. And I think they might have thought he was going to go get a gun or something. But I think he was just going to get his bat. And so they stop, and they turn around. Oh, he said he was going to get his cell phone. And they like stop and they turn around and they start running and they just take off. But this guy, he gets up to the door and it's like, they're trying to kill me. And that's all he's saying is, they're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. And so we call the cops. And come to find out, what happened was, I don't know what this guy did to them, but they beat him to what they thought was dead. They duct taped him. They beat him to what they thought was dead, and they stuck him in the trunk of the car. And evidently he came to while he was bleeding out in the trunk, and popped the safety latch and got out. If he hadn't got out, we probably would have never have known. That was some crazy shit. Thinking back on that, I was like, man, fuck. What if they had guns and not? Oh, they beat him with the back of a hammer, like the claw part. Luckily, I don't think it was my hammer. Honestly, I don't think they still had it, but yeah, I mean, that got me thinking, like, if you don't fucking know who's gonna turn on you and when. And so I decided at that point, I was like, fuck this Louisville Slugger bullshit. I'm getting a fucking Glock. And so I went and I got one. So this is the neighborhood. I don't want to feel like a total creep going through here, but this Aaron's truck is actually backed up. So that door right there with the tires, that was my door. And there was blood from the guy was all the way back to that red van. Or not van, that's a one thing, but there was a trail of blood all the way over to there. That corner apartment was their apartment. And he had got out of there. And it was just blood everywhere. But after that, yeah, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I went and I got a gun, bought a gun, got my concealed carry permit, and I carry everywhere now. There's literally no time, except for, you know, the times when I would get in trouble for doing it, like going to the courthouse. But especially in Oregon, the laws are so pro Second Amendment. So, yeah, I carry everywhere. And I haven't had to use it yet. There has been times where it's come close. Like this one time, I was walking, and I was walking from my friend's house, who was actually a sheriff's officer, and I was talking to her on the phone, and this fucking, had to have been like 16 or 17-year-old punk is riding his bicycle around, and I didn't want to go this way. I want to turn around. He's riding his bicycle around with his cap on backwards and his pants sagging down to the bottom of his buttocks. And he rides by and he's like, "What's up, fool?" I look at, like, I just kind of, because I'm on the phone with a cop right now, you know, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I give him this dirty look, like, shut the fuck up. And he, like, turns around, and he's, like, he's, like, circling me on this bike, and he's carrying a hockey stick. And he's, like, starts talking a bunch of bullshit, talking smack, and coming up, and he, like, grabs a stick and he picks it up, and I look at him, and I'm on the phone with the sheriff, right? And, or not the sheriff, she works at the office. And I put the phone down, you know, towards my chin a little bit, and I look at him and said, "If you fucking come at me with that hockey stick, it's gonna be a really bad day for you." And he was like, what the fuck ever, and then he like took off. But I mean, that was probably the closest I ever came to drawing. I'm actually glad nothing happened, because I would have a really big problem. Not a big problem, but I would feel really bad about having to shoot some kid. And I mean kid by like teenager, like older teenager, because they're just fucking stupid. Hold on a second. The condensation is turning into water droplets in there. But that's why I carry. That's why I carry all the time. Not the only reason. And you know, I got to thinking about it, you know, after I started carrying it. It's kind of like the adage of like a car seatbelt. You know, you don't put your seatbelt on because you're expecting to get into a wreck. You put it on just in case you get into one. But you put it on every day. You know, every time you drive, you put your seatbelt on. And that's kind of how I look at carrying now. All right, guys. Jai Majid out.